One of the weird things about the left I've kind of noticed is there's a bias against attractive people. Left-wing people inherently don't trust, regular people who you conventionally describe as attractive, because those people are less likely to be on the left because they're less likely to kind of need the, I don't know, like the left wing is a kind of a group of people who made themselves outcasts and kind of just are happy enough to roll around in it, where they see someone who's tall, attractive, confident, they inherently suspect that they're in the right wing because they probably are. So here's the thing with the left wing. You'll never pass their purity test. You can't really do anything and maintain their purity test. They're going after JDA. He's got a YouTube channel and has humorous clickbait titles to get eyeballs, which is how the game plays. And they'll use any clickbait title. It's got some girl in a bikini on the cover, and it's like suddenly that's a problem. And you look at it, you go like, well, what's the issue? There's some chick in a bikini or low-cut dress or something. It's like, what precisely is the issue? It's like, it's nothing. There's no issue. It's just, this is someone we don't like, so we're going to kind of use this stochastic terrorism to broadcast to other left-wing people that this person is on the outs. So this comment goes, I think it's hilarious that the one guy was dismissing the cancel culture like he claims it's not a thing. Then he literally details the steps he wants people to use in canceling Jon Del Arroz and anybody who dares to even attempt to support him or ask about him or anything. So click the links for Odyssey, Bit Chute on Telegrams, support channel by becoming a member, or on Coffee, the various other links. So person of color, Jon Del Arroz, attacked by a soy hate mob of woke soy jacks. These people always look exactly like you expect them to look. When we see how woke organizations can use social media pressure to have a chilling effect on the free exchange of ideas, you're welcome to 22. They use financial pressure to literally compel behavior to force people into this left-wing mold. If you're scared to speak your views for fear of discrimination, then that changes the open marketplace of ideas into a space where only some voices are valued and elevated, and right-of-center voices are disenfranchised, marginalized, and oppressed. For some reason, judging men based on their looks is acceptable to them. How many BuzzFeed or Mary Sue articles do they have about, I don't know, Chris Evans versus Chris Pratt or something like that? But when you turn it around to women, it's oh my gosh, this is so problematic. Well, I mean, what's a woman nowadays anyway? Just friggin' hysterical, because apparently we can all be women. It's not really misogynist if I identify as a woman, is it? So this discrimination against conservative diversity of thought leads to an othering of conservative voices. It puts them in danger by focusing hatred on them. The way for conservatives to fight this is to form a financial vehicle, perhaps a nonprofit legal defense trust, to fund legal action to prevent hate and discrimination against conservatives or Christians by these hate-filled left-wing organizations. Jon Del Arroz recently suffered a hate attack by this mob of soy wojacks who defamed him on social media with a straw man-filled hate mob. And I think he was on Facebook. I was on Facebook for like a week, and then I realized, I don't know why anyone's on Facebook, unless it's just to troll people, but then eventually you're going to get kicked off anyway. So it's fun to preach to the choir here, which is kind of what, this section of YouTube is all about, though there might be one or two people who are, I don't know, not in the choir exactly. But this only stops through legal recourse, which requires forming a legal defense organization, which sounds kind of unusual to your average conservative who just wants to grill. It's like, how's that working out for you? But the thing is, the hatred against these new POCs, or these people of conservatism, is so extensive that we need to protect each other. Yes, I did just trademark that. People of conservatism. The new POCs. So the other side of the coin is that for the right-of-center crowd to expand the concept of Comicsgate, to try to grow that network of people who have been canceled. Let's get back to the hot chick, who have been canceled by this woke mob of just the most insane left-wing Marxist. but who also want to engage in the creative arts. Like Vox Day is a writer, and Ethan Van Sciver is an artist. And I mean, there's a ton of people in Comicsgate. More and more, as it slowly grows, the people in the mainstream media. And to be fair, they're not all anti-woke. It's just that they look at the mainstream media and they're just not. They know they're not insanely woke as the people who seem to be running mainstream comics. And they also know that, like, as an industry, it's shrinking and shrinking. And if you're if you have fair skin, and you're male, or you identify as male and identify as having fair skin, and you don't have any kind of oppression points, it's like, well, you're gonna be first fired and last hired, so you might as well kind of go to some other organization. And you got people who, like, would have been left wing a few years ago or a few decades ago, but the Overton window and the far left just keeps going far left, and the country as a whole is also following it left, but it's not following it as fast enough. Where if you had a Democrat of the 80s, I was listening to some Hillary Clinton speeches the other day in the 90s, and she is further to the right, at least publicly in that speech, than anyone with an R after their name today. I mean, it's not even close. It's bizarre to hear that 94 speech of hers where she's talking about predators and things. That'll just blow your doors off to hear that. And then you look around today and you're like, oh, like all the Republicans around today, from Trump to DeSantis to whoever else, they're all left of center. That's how fast the window has shifted, which is not good, because shifting to the left, it typically leads to gulags and mass starvation. And that's not hyperbolic, because there's plenty of examples of this history repeating. If you want to take a look at, Southeast Asia, China, Russia, Cuba, Central America, South America, it's like it just keeps repeating it. Haiti, Papa Doc, it just keeps repeating this authoritarian totalitarianism of the left, and it just usually leads to starvation or Venezuela, Weimar, Sodom and Gomorrah. Anyway, so you got a lot of people in the creative arts who still, in their mind, they're probably over a certain age. They think of themselves as left-wing or liberals, but then they realize, like, well, the new left-wing is like literal avowed communists, where the old left-wing were still nationalists. In a way, they were sort of, careful for the algorithm, they were sort of actually technically social nationalists, if you actually look at their opinions, like a left-wing person for the 80s and even 90s, and then it slowly got changed as the demographics of the country changed into further and further left. So you got all these left-wing people who are in the arts who realize, like, oh, we're not welcome in this industry that we helped build for the past 30 or 40 years. They're not left-wing enough to satisfy the hate-filled Bolshevik mob. And the arts used to be about free thinking and conformity, but they turned into this authoritarian, conformist. They just turned into robots who are not thinking for themselves anymore. They used to be all about man against the machine, against these big corporate tech, and it's like now the left is corporate tech. They slowly got subverted over the past 20 years, and it's like there's not enough people on the left, not enough people who are willing to speak out against this and return to a true liberalism. And admittedly, like I said, all this ship has sailed. Like there's not. I don't think you're not gonna take things back and maintain the current structure. Like you're gonna have to see a radical restructuring of the entire country. I mean, of the entire format of the country. Countries only last so long. It's like America had about almost 250 years. It's like, it is what it is. Anyway, they seem to forget that diversity means diversity of thought, and instead the left wing now has turned into a mean girls club where they will strawman you, gaslight you, dogpile you, all these new terms that express how social media has facilitated the most abusive left-wing people. These actual Bolsheviks. These are really maladjusted people, and I jokingly refer to them as the participation trophy kids. And they are. They're the kids who grew up playing video games. They didn't have as much socialization as we had growing up. So they're maladjusted people. There's no other way to really express that. You got to have kids playing with other kids instead of... kids need to learn how to read facial expressions and body language and tonal inflections instead of just being on Twitter and on video games, and they don't get that kind of feedback. So they're kind of devolving into like this weird Lord of the Flies situation where they weren't raised by adults, they were raised by a woke single mom or woke parents who are pushing this participation prize thing where everything is valid, and it's like it just devolves into like, oh, we've got a trans kid who's on hormones. Oh, are you insane? What? Listen, you don't have to, the other extreme of it is, there's cliche German 1930s type of thing, but I'm not saying you have to go that far, but clearly you've gotten off path. Don't let them drag the Overton window so far to the left that you sterilized your kid in the name of wokeness. I mean, don't do anything you can't undo until you're about 25. Even then, it's like, my God, think twice and then think again. Anyway, so like the wokeness, I mean, you see where all this is going. This is when I say it's like you're not going to maintain this current structure. I'm talking about more than just comics and Hollywood. And I look at Hollywood now, and there's people who are still making like Hollywood review videos, and it's like it's all going to suck. Everything's going to be race swapped and just absolute, BLT garbage. I mean, but I mean garbage. I mean it's going to appeal to a very small subset of your potential audience. So it's less likely to be successful. And it's like Disney is not is not motivated by financial means. You got to realize all these companies now, like all this stuff, it's like this is ideology, this is religion to them. This is not business. They're not a journal entity incorporated in Delaware following the Articles of Incorporation. It's like, no, this is religion. They killed religion, and they replaced religion with the magical words of Moses Mordecai Levy, and they follow him like they would follow any other religion. Anyway, so they turned into this mean girls club. The modern left is just completely unrecognizable to what it was just a few years ago, or 20 years ago. I would say in the past 20 years, it completely shifted. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys on the next episode.